Run with Tommie Frazier and Johnny Rodgers. I'm your host, Ana Bellinghausen. Week 2 came to us 36-14 loss at Colorado. Guys, I want to start off with just your general reaction. Tommie, starting with you, now that we've had some days to soak it in.
Well, it goes back to what we said in last week, that if they don't turn the ball over, give themselves a chance to win the game. And of course, they didn't listen to me. They turned the ball over and they lost the game. And the old saying, you can't turn the ball over to win a game. You just cannot do that. And they turned the ball over 4 times again, and 3 of those turnovers turned into 17 points and end up losing the game.
Well, I'm just back to the point of believing. If you don't believe you can, or you believe you can't, or you can, whatever you believe, you're probably right. And I just don't think at this particular point that they believe they can. Now, they play great up until the point where you make the mistakes. But every time you make one, it takes a little bit out of you, a little bit more, and a little bit more. There's nothing to build on to keep you going in the right direction. So I don't know where the discipline comes in, or whether the coaching, where they're telling the players, or how their mindsets are, but they're not in it together. You can see they're just haphazardly just playing. Everybody's playing for themselves, and we're not playing as a team.
Yeah, one of the things Matt Rule said in his press conference was that it's been hard to find that rhythm and that flow for offense, and it was pretty obvious. And you look at Jeff Sims and the turnovers there, 2 fumbles off missed snaps, and the snaps weren't an issue. It was just the handling of the ball. Tommie, I want to have you give the audience just kind of an understanding of what you're looking at as quarterback from the shotgun and why those missed snaps happen and why he's fumbling.
Well, I don't think it's anything special that he's looking at. The number one thing is that you look the ball into your hands. And I think what he's doing is he sees a snap, but he's trying to read the defense, see what's happening before he actually catches the snap. And Johnny knows as a receiver that you always got to look the ball right into your hands, because, the ball necessarily doesn't always end up where you think it's going to end up. Right. And I think that's just the issue with him, to where it's not a physical thing because he has a talent. It's more mental. And he has to get in his head that I got to look the ball in no matter what, because the play starts to being. And if I get a snap, you have a better chance of running the play. If I don't, you're going to look what happened. You're going to turn the ball over.
What's going to happen when you turn it over, though, Tommie?
Well, when you turn the ball over, then it deflates the offense. It deflates the team. It deflates your confidence. And it also deflates the trust that the coaches have into you, because the snap is supposed to be the easiest thing a quarterback does.
So then you come out?
I don't think you come out unless you continue. It continues to happen. It continues to happen. So, like, on the first,
3 times, not 2.
Yeah, but it's part of the game. And at that point, you still want to try to see, because he's probably the best thing you have right now. And I think the only reason they came out of the game Saturday was because he got hurt. Mm-hmm. And the other kid, Hockenberg went in and let the team down for a touchdown drive. But I think this week, if the same issue starts happening, you got to pull them fast and early.
Okay, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And going back to Coach Vandy, we would not get that extra week if it happened. Then you out now.
Right. Well, different mindsets, different coach, and as you said, Coach Rule's always said this is a rebuilding process, and we're not going to get this done overnight. Yeah. But we're going to stay the course. But I think to show the team that, hey, you got to do your job. If it continues to happen one maybe 2 more times, then you got to pull the kid out of the game and put somebody else in there. And now it shows the team that, hey, if you don't get started doing your job, you're not going to play.
Right. That's exactly right. At your position, whatever position you are, if these things happen, this is what happens. Mm-hmm. Now, once you set that precedence, then you got to stick with it.
Then you got to stick with it, and now everybody knows.
That should be like in camp from day one, not the game 2. That should be from day one. That is the attitude. That is the rule. You know, I know, and the fans know.
Well, and I think that has been a rule, because I read somewhere online an article to where Coach Rule said, if you fumble the football, you can't play for me. Right. Well, then someone said, well, that must pertain to the quarterback. Right. Well, but so now he needs to show that, hey, you fumble the ball one more time, I got to pull you. We're trying to find you, trying to make you the lead, trying to see if you can be the leader of this team. But if you're hurting us more than you're helping us, then we got to find someone else to help us.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tommie, but if he's already told him that it happened, then you have to do it, if nobody pay any attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, but a quarterback is a little bit different position than all those. You know that. A quarterback is a little bit different position than all other positions. Right, wrong, or different, but they're treated a little bit different than all other positions.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, trust me.
I didn't know that, Tommie.
When it comes to the offense, the head coach, the quarterback position is treated a little bit different.
If he messed up, Van Bronson's coming in. Van knew if he got a shot, he messed up.
But what happened right then? Because you knew that Van Bronson was just as good as Jerry Taggy.
Right.
They don't know that here. They went through fall camp, spring camp with these 2 guys, and Jeff Sims probably the clear winner. Now they're saying that, hey, if you continue, he has 8 turnovers in 2 games. That can't happen.
Yeah, if you make a rule, though, it doesn't make a difference. You got to stick with the rule. You got to set the
like I said, quarterbacks are a little bit different than other positions.
Okay.
I think the biggest question that Husker fans had was at halftime, why didn't Rule make that change? I want your guys' reaction from that moment of Rule keeping him in the game. Do you respect that decision, and why?
Well, I respect because the game wasn't over with. I think it was just a 10-0 game or a 3-0 game.
I think 13-0.
13-0 at halftime, but it wasn't like the game was still out of reach. And so just one of those deals to where he felt that going to halftime, regrouping, the team would come together, but then he comes back out again and have a couple more turnovers, and the rest is history.
Right.
Well, I think that when he comes out, we know he's nervous. We know he's got a problem. He needs to be out as much as we might want him out. He needs a break sometimes. Sometimes the pressure is on. He wouldn't. Then he came out and showed that he probably needed to be out. He come in and he make a couple more mistakes, and we could maybe have bypassed that. Because sometimes the other quarterback we have on the bench is not really as good, but he don't have to be. The players have to believe he's going to do better, or he's not going to make the mistakes.
Or it could be one of those deals you pull him out of the game for a series just so he can get his wits to himself, to where he can calm down, to where the coaches can say, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. If it continues to happen, but they're the coaches. They know their players, and so they're doing the best for the players. But I just am a firm believer, if he continues next week and he starts and he turns the ball over one or have a couple bats, it's time to get him out of there.
Yeah, and Sims has not practiced. He's dealing with that ankle injury, and then Heinrich Harburg would be that backup quarterback. They did say that Chubba Purdy would be QB3, but he's kind of been dealing with some injury as well. He tweaked something they didn't really specify.
Right.
But so the backups are there, but again, Tommie, to your point, they don't know if that's a better option necessarily.
Well, I'm a firm believer that no coach is going to have the best players on the sideline.
Right.
Especially when you're trying to win football, you're building a program, the best players are going to play. And if it's a freshman or a sophomore, you got to play them. And so if they're not playing right now, that should be telling that the coaches, I got to put faith in that the coaches know the players better than we know, because they watch them every day in practice and film study and whatever they have to do.
Right.
Well, I like to make sure that we got the right. I'm sold on Rule, but I don't know about his staff. Or the other coaches are making the right decision in their position, because, the head coach, he oversees everything, but the position coaches are the guys who are making the decisions.
And position coaches are the ones making decisions, but once again, there's still the first 2 games, live action with players. And John, I know you see it different, but I see it as, I'm not going to make a judgment this early on position coaches, because they're still trying to learn what these players can do. It's not like they've been here 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Or it's not like all these kids have been here.
Mm-hmm.
You had a receiver who was here, leave, and then they brought him back. He hadn't played football in a year. And then he's the starting, goes in and tears the ACL the first game of the year. So now you got a new guy coming in. And so it's still a learning process for those players, still a learning process for the coaches.
Well, Deion is setting a precedent on how it kind of should be done, because in 2 or 3 years, these players are going to be gone. So if we don't do it now and we don't get it done immediately, then we're not going to get it. We don't have time in college football. It's not like the NFL where you got a 10-year career. You got a 3 or 4 year career here, basically, and we got to get it done again, like I say, now.
That's what you say.
Right.
But I believe.
Otherwise, we'll have another coach come in, like it's happened for the last 20 years. They come here 3, 4 years.
I'm saying I want to win now, but I'm also trusting Trev and trusting Coach Rule or the process they have in place. Because the one thing that I'm guilty of it, that want immediate success, people that be successful right now. But then there's no plan to get there. But what was a plan to build it there? And just well that you can't build a strong house without a strong foundation. And that's just sports 101. Coach Devaney said that. Coach Osborne said that. Coach Solich said that. Now Coach Rule said we got to build a strong foundation to build this program up. And the foundation in the last 15 years hasn't been strong.
20 years.
20 years hasn't been strong.
Right.
So eventually you got to start somewhere.
Well, we've been starting. We've had that concept, and we've been patient with that concept, and it keeps going from year to year to year. And that now it's been 20 years.
But patience. Has we been patient because we felt we got the right guy, or is it patient that leadership at the top has been the right leadership? There's a lot of things that has to fall into place for things to be successful.
Well, when you go in, when you bring a new coach in, you bring him in because you think you got the right guy. And we've thought we've had the right guy several different times.
Who did?
Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska did. I don't say we.
Nebraska. Nebraska.
And sometimes the right answer, but the people who are making the decisions might not have been the right people.
Well, right. No, there's a lot of different things that play here
and I think,
that has cramped us up for the last 20-some-odd years.
And I think that Trev knows where his heart is. He's played. He wants to see the. So I think he's doing the right decision to help build that strong foundation. Because I believe Trev understands it's not going to happen this year, and it might be even next year. But by year 3, I think you're really going to start seeing results to where Nebraska fans will be proud. And maybe even next year. Next year might be a little bit tougher with the schedule coming up. But I think this year, if they continue and just stop turning the ball over.
Well, they can stop, Tommie, but it would never, ever come out of my mouth that they don't be trying to do it now. That to give them the excuse that it's going to be the next year or the next year, I would never, ever say that.
I'm not giving that excuse.
I want your best out of you now. This minute, not next minute, not next week, this week, every time, or we're going to get somebody else in here.
And trust me, I want to see them win every game, but I'm also a realist, and I think that's what people are forgetting. You still got to be realistic about this team, what is they put on the field. And I think some people aren't realists. They expect, we're supposed to win every game, we're supposed to win every game. Well, football and sports is all about matchups. And sometimes matchups just don't work in Nebraska's favor, and sometimes they do. I thought Minnesota matchup worked in Nebraska's favor. We turned the ball over. I felt Colorado matched up was in Nebraska's favor. What happened? We turned the ball over. So it's not about what other teams are doing. It's what we're doing to ourselves. And so now it's time for those players to step up and say, enough is enough. Because they realize that we don't turn the ball over, we don't make dumb pre-snap penalties, we can possibly be 2-0.
Oh, well, that's quite obvious. You could be 2-0. You can't beat you can't beat yourself and the other team.
But that's what's happening. We're beating ourselves.
Well, I know that's what you can't do.
And so now it's time for those players to have a heart-to-heart with themselves and with each other.
Well, I thought that before we started the season, they should have had that heart-to-heart.
You can have heart-to-hearts before the season.
Like I said, Deion is showing how it really should be done. He's giving the attitude in the players that you really need to have. He's showing what is really not just possible, probable, and we put it into action, and everybody on that team believes it. They believe it. And they shouldn't even be winning, but they still believe they can, so they do.
Why shouldn't they be winning?
Because they're not playing that well. We're just playing that bad. We just played that bad. They didn't play that well.
But they took advantage of our mistakes, though.
That's right. Because they believed that they could win, they came back.
But that's what they're doing. They're taking advantage of other teams' mistakes.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do.
You make them make mistakes.
It's not like he's doing this miraculous coaching job. He's a hell of a motivator. He's a hell of a talker. He's a hell of a.
That's what they call coaching.
Yeah. But sometimes when you have truly nothing to lose. Because no one thought Deion Sanders was going to go and make the impact he's making right now by cleaning the roster, bringing in 80-some new players and have the impact. But when you have a bunch of players who are good football players, they have talent over there, who believe in what they can do individually. I don't think some of these players on this team believe that they're good enough at this level to play right now because they haven't had that success. Once you have success, then your everything in you starts improving. You start walking around with a little cocky swagger. Until they have success, they're going to doubt themselves because that's what's been over this program for, as you say, 20 years. Doubt because they hadn't had that success.
Well, they're new. They didn't have a problem. They haven't went through those experiences. They've come here with an attitude. We're coming here. Everybody would think we're coming here to win.
Because they clean house.
We're coming here to make. Well, I'm talking about Huskers. We're coming here to win. We're coming here to establish a program. When I came, like I said, last week, Bob Devaney said that if I came here, he's going to recruit more black players than any time in history and let them play, and we're going to win. And we believed that, and we did win. We did just what Deion's done, Devaney did. Same darn thing. And what I'm saying that they should be doing is what we did and how we did it. But the premier thing was you could not make the mistakes or else there's consequences. I don't see consequences. I don't see that people are getting pulled out.
I do see consequences. Did you see Anthony Grant last week? This week play? No, he thrown the ball. He didn't play last week versus Colorado. So, and that was one of you. I'm just saying, quarterback is just judged a little bit different than any other position on the field. Whether you agree with it or not, it just is. Now there's your 2 games in it. He has a total of 8 turnovers. There's
that's a little different.
That's a little different. Now there is no more. You either get your job done or you're coming out.
Okay, well I agree with you, but a little bit before 8.
No, I'm saying you go look at it. You go look at any NFL guy. Turn the ball over. They don't lose their job right away.
Tommie, I understand that, but I'm talking about NFL guys. You build a program over years. We have to do it the year because they only got 2-3 years.
Well, NFL same way too.
No, but they can go on for years and years.
Yeah, but we're talking about free agency though. We're talking about players coming in every year, different players moving on. It's the same thing.
You can move them around. It is the same thing. But they want to win now.
But a lot of those teams have coaches that have been there. You know, look at Detroit. And I know we're talking about Nebraska, but look at Detroit. They didn't have one thing, but they hired a guy who's an offensive line coach. They built an offensive line. They finally got a quarterback. They got him. Now look what they're doing. So, and that just didn't happen. This is like his 3rd or 4th year there. So it takes time when you're really trying to do it the right way.
Well, I understand that, Tommie. I'm just saying college football, you don't have time.
I think you have time.
No, they're gone. As soon as you get a guy prime, you prime him for. It's like this is the farm league, and we're getting them ready for the pros.
College football, they come in, they're gonna go. It's no different than pros. Now, what you got to do is have a stable foundation, knowing that guys are gonna keep coming and going every year. They're gonna lose somebody, but they're gonna bring somebody in. But as long as your foundation, you that coach, as long as your foundation's there, it doesn't matter who leaves or come. Your foundation's there, and you just building on that, and you just insert pieces to the puzzle.
So what have we been doing for the last 10 years?
We haven't had a foundation.
For the last 20 years.
We haven't had a foundation.
And nobody thought of that.
They tried it, but no.
How long? It's been 23 years.
But when you have
this is 2023, and I remember it started 2000. That's 23 years.
Okay, but how many different leaders have you had leading the program?
Well, we probably might have more.
No, we're talking about, you said the last 20 years. We're not talking about now, we're saying the last 20 years for the foundation. How many different ADs have we had? How many different chancellors have we had? How many different presidents have we had? How many different head coaches have we had? You know, so when you're having that much turnover, you can't build a stable foundation because anytime someone comes in here, they want to bring their guy in. You know, even when Coach Osborne came in, he gave Bill Callahan ultimatum. You got to win this many games, you're gone. And when he left, who did he hire? I think he hired Bo Pelini. Right? Then Bo Pelini came in, and he started. Then the new guy came in. I don't like that too. Get rid of him. And then he brought another guy. So as long as you have that much turnover, and this guy, when his guy in there, you're not going to build a strong foundation. And I don't care. You can say we want to win now. You cannot win consistently without a strong foundation. And you got to start somewhere.
I agree with the foundation, but it's how you establish the foundation. And I don't believe in special considerations because you're a quarterback. Or a wide receiver, or a power return, or whatever, anybody.
But that's you. But if you look at any team, you look at any team, every coach deals with their quarterback totally different when it comes to mistakes and the mindset than any other position, or that's at any school. Look at Nick Saban. Do you not think that he should have pulled that kid on Saturday?
I didn't see the game on
Saturday. Yes, but that's probably the best they have right now. So the quarterback position, you can say it should be. It is. Right, wrong, or different.
Our quarterback position, every quarter we have a turnover. Every quarter we have a turnover.
And so that's something that they need to sit down with him and let him. But you treat quarterbacks, right, wrong, or different. They're treated different on every team across the country.
I have never heard that before. You know, I've never heard a coach tell the other players right in front of players that somebody has a special consideration.
He didn't say that. He's not telling that, but you still.
Well, that's what you're saying it is. It's just automatic that he's going to get special consideration.
That's what I'm saying. Don't be like you don't understand. That's what happens across college football since the history of quarterbacking. You treat them, they're treated a little bit different than other positions when it comes to throwing interceptions, turning the ball over. Because if you want them to be a leader team, you still got to have trust in them. Now, when it continues to happen like this, 2 games, if he's able to start this game and he's still having the same problem, now it's time to pull him because now he's showing you that he's not the guy for it. And now you try one of the guys. But if this is your clear-cut guy, this is a guy you went out personally in the transfer portal that bring in here, then you got to treat him a little bit different because this is the guy you brought in. You don't want to be the coach say, oh, this is my guy, bring in and say, oh, we got to get rid of him. Because now it looks like you didn't do your job thoroughly. Let him play his way out of the position.
I didn't use the word get rid of. I said sit him down.
Okay, not starting. Excuse me, not start.
Not start.
And so what they're trying to do.
You might not start
So what they're trying to do is say, okay, we're going to let him play his way out of this. And he's doing it now. But now we have one more game. first home game. Let's see what happens now. If he doesn't produce this game, now it's time to move it because the season, you still got a lot of season left.
When we started off, Van Bronson was the starting quarterback for Nebraska. All right, it didn't work out that well early. We took him out. He never got back in. He always became the second player, and he was faster. He could throw better. He could do everything, but he couldn't run the team as well. And so it wasn't about his ability. It was about running the team.
And so this is when the coaches need to decide right now. After the second week of the season.
I understand what you're saying. Two games into it, and we've lost them both.
Yeah.
And I'd have went 2 quarters.
But your psyche is totally different. My mentality, your mentality back then is totally different than kids' mentality today. And because they're not the same, they're not built the same as you were built and I was built.
Well, Tommy, you say that right in the face of what Deion is doing with those same type of kids.
But those are kids.
Those are the same type of kids. They're just in a different neighborhood.
Okay, but
he's making it happen.
You're trying to compare apples. You can't do that.
Why not?
Every situation is different. You can't say Colorado and Nebraska are the same.
I'm just saying kids, college football. How do you win? How do you win? You bring in a bunch of good players. You get them to their confidence level. You get the right niche in them. They believe they can do it, and they do it.
Okay, but let me ask you this question. You keep saying what Deion's doing.
Well, what are you saying? How you do it? It's already been done.
No, I'm saying that the 2 games that they've won, teams beat themselves. It's not that they went out and just made.
That's why we have defense to make people make mistakes to beat themselves.
But I don't think the mistakes that Nebraska made was caused by defense. It was self-inflicted turnovers.
They do. That happens all the time.
Fumble snaps doesn't happen all the time.
You make mistakes. That's why they call it a mistake, because you made it yourself all the time.
Okay, now I can understand throwing an interception. The dumb interception he threw, that he shouldn't have threw that ball. That was just a bad judgment play. But Anthony Grant fumbled, the guy pulled it. But all of the turnovers were turnovers that we made. No one touched him. Hand the ball off. One more rule, get the ball in it. It didn't get all the way there. That's the quarterback's fault. Running back's not supposed to look down for the handoff. So it's stuff that the quarterback did. It's on him. Those turns are on him. It's not like it was physical mistakes. Those are mental mistakes. Jumping off sides, those are mental mistakes. Pre-snap penalty mental mistake. So and now it's time for these players to understand that if we stop beating ourselves.
I agree.
And so now I don't know what's going on. You've been in practice more than I have. But now I just know that when we make mistakes like that, we were punished for those in practice. When we returned the ball in practice, we were punished right then and there because it's one of those deals that you do not make mental pre-snap mistakes.
And if you're in the game and you make a mistake, you get punished right there. Total agreement.
But
right there.
Quarterback's a little bit different position.
Right. No.
Yes,
right there.
No,
right there, Tom. You just said right there.
No. But I also said quarterback is a little bit totally different position than all the other positions. Whether you will like it or not, that's just the way it's been over time. And you can go back and look at when Vince Lombardi was a head coach, to Bear Bryant, they all even
that thought never crossed my mind.
Even Bob Devaney treated the quarterbacks a little bit different than he treated other players.
We didn't know about it. I didn't know about it.
There's a lot of things you don't know about that happens in the quarterback room and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Quarterbacks are treated different.
If the other players see other people getting treated differently, then that creates that not create unity in my mind.
I think it's when you're at your position, but I think everyone knows quarterbacks are going to be treated different than any other position. There's no right, wrong.
Well, every position is different, so you have to approach them differently. But the rule is the rule. If you make a mistake a few times here, you're hurting the team. You're gonna get pulled. If you're a guard,
it's not
you're
that
tackle.
Black and white quarterback. I'm sorry, John.
If the running back is fumbling,
I'm sorry. We're not going to agree. Quarterback is just a little bit different rule when it comes to turnovers and mistakes. It just truly is. Because you don't have as many players to sub in. Wide receivers, you might have 7, 8 guys on the bench that you can sub in. Running backs, you might have 4 or 5 guys. Offensive line, you might have quarterback. You don't have very many guys. And so
we got 2 or 3.
But obviously, if the coach hasn't pulled it, they don't have the confidence in him.
Well, if something is wrong with them and that's the case, then I'm willing to go.
Because I honestly believe if Sims would have hurt,
not because they're being treated differently. I can't portray that. I've never heard a team say that the other players were being treated differently.
I'm saying they treat quarterbacks when it comes to certain things a little bit different. Because there's usually only 1 or 2 guys there, and you just don't want to keep changing the quarterbacks. You don't.
No, but
because when you pull a quarterback, then what you're telling him, you're done.
We don't want to pull anybody, but we don't want somebody in there that's making a mistake and we're not being, we can't justify them continuing on. And everybody else, if they get reprimanded.
What I'm saying to you is that, do I think those think he should have been out of the game? Yes, I said that when he had to make the second one, it's time to make a change.
Right.
Those coaches know the pulse of that quarterback room. They know the pulse of that team. They didn't make the decision. I honestly believe if he wouldn't have got hurt, he probably would have finished the game because of the pulse. That's just but I even said after the second one, it's time to try someone different.
Well, yeah, because there's still time to win.
But I'm not going to sit. But I'm not
still
gonna,
time to win.
But I'm not going to sit
we make
here and say
change.
that
we
quarterbacks are treated different when it comes to mistakes than other positions, because they are. Whether you want to believe it or not, they are.
Well, they get throw interceptions here and there, but they got. But I can't see that they get treated differently. I mean, I see that everybody you might have to take consideration, treat them a little differently, predicated upon their situation. Everybody's a little different.
That's what I'm getting at.
But there's set rules for that apply to everybody. If you're making mistakes, if you're fumbling, last week we had a guy in that fumbled in practice all the time, and we still had him in towards the end of the game. What was his name?
Anthony Grant.
I think he fumbled at the very end.
Ramir Johnson.
Yeah, he fumbled at the very end, right? And he was fumbling in practice.
Ramir?
I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that fumbled the last fumble
Gabe Ervin Jr. The last fumble.
But Gabe Ervin, but once again, was that a fumble, or did the quarterback put the ball in the pocket all the way? So if
it looked like a fumble to me.
But when you look at a highlight, go back and look he get all the way in there. So, I mean, you can say he fumbled. It's a whole bunch of stuff that happened.
I'm just saying that he had the tendency during the practices to fumble.
He hadn't fumbled all year into that.
Well, we only had one game.
Well, he didn't fumble. Okay. You say he has tendency of fumbling.
In practices.
I don't count that fumble on him in the game. But I know a guy who carried the ball a lot last year. The first game fumbled, Anthony Grant, and what happened? He didn't play. And I think that was
okay.
And I think there's a reason, because there was some stuff that off the field stuff that was happening that build up to where they can't trust him.
Because he did off the field stuff that
they try to give him a chance, and I think because he wasn't with them for spring practice. I don't know if you knew that. Anthony Grant was there for spring practice, so because he was working on some off the field issues, some stuff that happened, and so I think Anthony Grant's the better running back.
Right.
But there's something that happened off season that put him in the position where he's at now, and then you get opportunity. You go in the game when you're driving down to take the lead and you fumble. Right there now, new coaches. We can't trust Mouth when he comes in from.
You don't give him special treatment, I know.
Well,
he doesn't get special consideration.
I'm just telling you, you don't want to believe it, but you can ask any coach out there. Do our quarterbacks treated a little bit different when it comes to mistakes in other position?
Well,
and 100% of them would say yes.
I'm going to certainly ask them if that's the attitude they have, and everybody on the team know that.
It's not the attitude they have, but even the players know that.
I didn't know that. I swear, I didn't know that.
Why do you think the quarterbacks get all the money? Because they have a little bit more leeway when it comes to making mistakes. Do you honestly think Aaron Rodgers can throw 4 interceptions on tonight?
I'm talking about every quarter there's an error, a mistake on your part. That's too much. That's too much
Maybe
leeway.
that's the best they have right now.
That could be the case, but that's because that we give you better consideration, and so now you know that. I mean, if you can't know that. I mean, that's the way it is. If you have other considerations, because people are hurt, you don't have people ready,
I'm just telling you,
and we have to leave you in there, then we have to leave you in there.
I'm just telling you that from a coach's side of things, when it comes, even Kevin Steele was a defensive guy at Baylor, and we had a quarterback who wasn't very good. His mind said, well, we don't want to tear this kid down. We're going to slowly let him play his way out of position. So what they started doing was giving the backups more snaps during the game. Maybe that's what they can do now. Hey, you take the first quarter, and you take the second quarter, and whoever, or we're going to sit you out. And maybe that's the way to do it, is trying to get this other guy ready. But the starting quarterback, until he shows you completely that he can't get it done.
Well, I say, let's start you this quarter, and we let somebody else play next quarter.
That's the next step.
No, I'd have went for that.
That's the next step.
But that could have been the first step.
No, you can't do that. Not when you're trying to figure out who your quarterback is going to be. If this is your guy, this is the guy you brought in, you got to give him every opportunity to say, this is my guy. He's shown you that he can't do it. So now, here's what we're going to do now. Hey, you're going to play this quarter here. You're going to play you're going to come in the game early and play, and then if you do it well, then we're going to play. If not, then we're going to come back. That's how you do it now, because he's shown that he can't handle the pressure.
Well, if we got plenty of time, I can go for that. But I got to do what I have to do to try to make sure to maintain a win. because it's too tight when you get behind. You get by 0-2 in a season. You're trying to get to that bowl game. It gets awful slim there. We can't really. Well, I can give you a quarter or two to show me, but I can't give you games.
That's you.
Yeah, I
Coach
can't.
Rule, they're paying him.
All those guys.
They're paying him $9 million, and I'm gonna let him figure it out. We're gonna sit over here. We're gonna critique everything we're gonna do.
We're gonna let him figure it out.
And when I want us to have the same energy when things do turn. Have the same energy, like, okay, now he knows what he's doing. Because right now we're all saying, well, do they truly know what he's doing? Well, it's easy to criticize someone when things aren't going well. But I want people to use that same energy when things are going well. And because that's one thing about you're gonna get from me. I'm gonna be consistent to where when things go well, I'm gonna get praised. When things go wrong, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna get criticism.
Right, me too. Me too.
But I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, these guys don't know what they're doing, especially in year 1 and game 2. If it was year 5, game 2, and we're saying the same stuff like now. Wait a minute.
They're not going to be here year 5.
But I'm just saying. Well,
no, they're not going to be here. The players are not going to be here.
Well,
a lot of us won't be here.
We thought that before. No, we thought that before. We thought that before they gave coaches more time than they deserved. Here. You know, so we don't know what the front office, the heads are doing, but I just know they're going to give this guy time.
Yeah. And that was reiterated today in the press conference. He basically said, hey, guys, this is what I signed up for. This is what you signed up for. This is what Trev Alberts asked for. It's a rebuild, and he's doing it, what he says, is the right way, and that's building that foundation the historic Nebraska way. He's bringing kids in from Nebraska, wanting to play for Nebraska. He's not going into the transfer portal, dipping in. He said, hey, I'll get some guys, example, Jeff Sims, but I'm not going to go the Deion Sanders route. Now, like he said this specifically, but alluding to, I'm not going to go that route of win now because that's not how they want things done at Nebraska.
Exactly.
And I don't think it would go over well with the fans either if you're bringing in guys from other areas and in that transfer portal. That's just not the history of Nebraska. It's not the foundation that was built upon.
Well, I don't know. I think that Nebraska would kind of go for whatever is necessary to win right now. We have been winning for so long that whatever it takes, and they don't make the decisions, but if you can figure it out, whatever it's going to take for us to have another winning program, we're in.
Yeah.
We're down for it. We can make that adjustment if we win it. It's hard to make the adjustments when you continuously don't make the cut. Every year, you don't make the cut.
I don't think the transfer portal is the way to do it, though.
Well, that's why you got to take advantage of all your advantage. That's an advantage. You don't have to abuse it.
It's rare that he's doing it, but Nick Saban's not doing it. Kirby Smart's not doing it. Dabo Swinney's not doing it. The coach out at USC, he's not doing it. I mean, it's just one of those rare situations. It's just like, oh, he's doing it, but can he sustain it? And I don't think he will be able to sustain it because you got to have some people that starting your program as freshmen building up. Because like his son only has 2 years. What are they going to do after his son leaves?
Well, they better start thinking about that now.
I don't think they are.
They're putting in people now for later, too.
I don't think they are.
Everybody ain't on the field now, Tommy. Everybody ain't on the field. They're building. Those people are sitting on the bench.
Here's what I think is going to happen at Colorado. He might go to a bowl game this year, but he might do something real special next year. And another school going to call him off, and the more money he's going to leave. Because now his son going to be gone. And he's like, well, I can go some other place and take this on. I want to coach my son. He's not here anymore. We're successful. I'm getting on this phone call. I'm elite. That's a quick fix. I don't think Deion sees himself at Colorado for a long period of time. No. Deion already said, I'm a Southern guy. I want to be coached down in the South. That's where he wants to be. He only took the Colorado job because they basically told him, hey, we're going to leave you alone. You do it your way.
Well, that's a good reason.
I think if Alabama called Deion Sanders, he would say yes.
Yeah, but Alabama's not going to call him because the people in Alabama don't like the way Deion walk, talk, and act.
Right.
Colorado's one of those states like, well, they're the first one to legalize weed. They're the first one to do everything. So they need something to bring life back into that state.
Like we do.
We're going to have it, though. We're going to do it. But I'm a firm believer that you got to build a foundation. I don't think Deion's building a foundation. I don't.
And you think Deion, he's going to win and then oust and go somewhere else?
Yes, he is.
All right.
Yes, he is.
I think he'll probably build on what he's doing myself. I think he's going to build on what he's doing.
I see him there 3 years max. I do.
Well, we have had coaches for less than 3 years.
And how many ADs have we had? How many different?
We have several ADs as well.
That's all part of it. You look at coaches. Every time you hire someone, they come in with their own plan. Every time you hire someone to run a university, they come with their own plan, which some people might not buy into that plan, and they can get rid of people and hire people. That's part of the problem. So what I'm trying to say is that in order for us to break that cycle, we got to find the right people, and I believe Trevor's the right guy in AD's office to make that right decision. Here's our plan. Here's my plan. This guy in football is a guy that can do the plan I want. This guy in basketball can do the plan I want. This guy in volleyball can do the plan I want. This lady in softball can do. That's what we need. We haven't had that before.
What were they? They were saying they had that before. It just didn't work out that way. That's always been the plan, Tommy.
It's always been.
It's always been the plan.
But have they truly supported the plan?
Yes, they support it, but it don't work out.
So everyone approved of Sean Eichhorst when they hired him. No. Everyone approved of Steve Peters when they hired him. No. Everyone approved of Bill Moose when they hired him. No. Does everyone approve of Trev Alberts?
I don't think everyone approved of Bob Devaney when they hired him.
But we're talking about today's day. We're talking about the last 20 years. We're talking about the last 20 years of Nebraska Sports University. When you've had 5 different ADs and 6 different coaches?
Right.
You can't build a foundation at no university like that. You can't.
Well, you can't, Tommy, but when you see you're making a mistake, you got to go and cut them and move on. That's what they've done.
Is that the right thing or wrong thing? Because what's happening, when you cut a coach, you cut an AD. When you cut an AD, you cut a coach. Something got to be stable. Whether it's going to be the coach or whether it's going to be AD, you get to build a foundation. So Trevor's the guy.
To build it. I'm with Trev.
He has the plan. And so he's saying, Matt Rule, we're going to do it the right way. Of course, everybody, I want to see them. I want them to be 2-0. We want to see immediate success. But also a realist, though. And that's what people are missing out on, being a realist. And until people start looking at that, then they're going to understand, wait a minute, maybe this is not as easy as we thought it was going to be. Maybe it might take another year or two. But we feel that Trev feels like he got the right guy to do it. And I'm looking at his track record in college sports. Year 2 is when he really started making his jump.
Well, I think, Husker Nation has been pretty, understanding over all the years that we've been sitting here waiting, thinking that we're going in the direction that you're saying. Every year we hear that type of rhetoric, and it doesn't quite pay out.
But every year,
and so if we didn't went for the okie doke for 20 years,
every year I haven't had confidence in the guy who was running the athletic department. I haven't until now. This Trevor's the first one since Bill Burns left and whoever took over, that say, all
right, well, I'm not really bringing Trev into it.
But I'm
talking about the coaches on the field that are doing the coaching, that things have to happen now.
Okay, but
Trev, I believe in Trev that he wants to do the right thing. He's in a position to do that.
So you have to trust that he hired the right guy.
He's not making the calls on the field on the game now.
He's not.
So we're talking about things that happened in that 60 minutes.
Right. So, but it goes back to, if you believe in Trev, then you got to trust that he made the right hire to build it the way he wants to build it. I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect. I'm not saying he is the guy, because I don't know. I'm still, hey, let's see, wait and see. But I just know that we've gone through so many different coaching changes and AD changes and university president changes to where we got to stop and say, okay, let's let this work. Let's do it the right way. Let's get back to the old Nebraska where we do it the right way, not put a Band-Aid over something that's not completely.
I agree wholeheartedly with you.
And that's what, in my opinion, that's what they're doing.
For 20 years. I believe exactly what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And I agree with what you're saying. And I've agreed when they said it before. But it doesn't happen.
It's not going to happen right away. Like I say,
all right, well, that's what I'm saying.
And I've been saying,
I'm into the now thing.
Trust me, John, I want to win now too.
Now.
I think our mood would have been totally different if they were 2-0. The way we talk about this team, even with the same problems, even with the same, we'd have been talking different.
Well, if they could just find a way to win, then I'm good.
And I think those coaches working their butt off trying to find. Once again, it's individual players on that team have to decide who really wants to buy into the concept and what they've been taught. And coach?
Well, again, the individual part I'm out of. Everybody has to buy in. We got to get everybody's buy-in. That's the point. We got some individual players buying in, but we don't have the team. It's a team thing.
We're saying the same thing. You can't form a team unless individuals decide they want to be part of a team and do everything they can to make a team. Because the team made up a bunch of individuals.
They seem to be together. I mean, they're not crumbling.
That's why I am not panicking right now, because I've seen teams in the past that when things like this battle happen, you saw the heads drop down, you saw them not interested in the game. Well, I've seen a team more so defensively that when things got bad, those guys went back out there and tried to do the best to get offensive ball back. I hadn't seen that before in the defense in a long time here in Nebraska when things going bad.
I think the guys are trying hard. They're trying.
Right.
They have the right attitude, but I just don't think they all are in.
No,
they're not. They got the whole buy-in.
No, I
don't know.
I agree with you.
I don't know if they're not. I don't even know what the problems are. If it's the coaches or if the other players.
I think it's going to take a win for them to realize.
And that's why I said when they get that first win, you're going to see
we're going to get two. I think we can count on 2 wins.
I do too.
The next 2 wins.
Like, even starting the season, I never thought that Nebraska would be 4-0 going into Michigan. Never thought that. I would say 3-1, 2-2 at best. Because I didn't really think for them to play well at Minnesota. Didn't. Because the way Minnesota has handled Nebraska over the last couple of years, and you got new coaching staff, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, I thought there was going to be Minnesota was going to blow them out, honestly. But then when I was at the game and watched, like, oh, this team is still fighting. Oh, they threw an interception, they're still fighting. Minnesota. That to me let me know that, hey, these kids are believing, are buying in because the year before, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year team, those kids would have quit.
Different coach.
Yes. Different coach. So now he's showing that, hey, guys, we still got a chance. We make mistakes. Now, individually, I got to change my mind. Jeff Sims now got to go and say, I got to make sure I don't beat this team because this team wins. Because that's what he's done. And anyone who's seeing the game and he's watching the game, he can just say, I'm causing this team victories. No one else is me. Because of the turnovers and mental mistakes that I'm making. Not what the offensive line doing, not what the defense is doing, is what I'm doing. And so that's a gut check for him. So now he needs to go soul search himself.
Well, yeah, I just wish he had that talk a little earlier.
But it's a talk to himself, though. He probably had it, but it's a talk to himself that he has to have it. Because he's probably thinking, I could do this and do that. No, you can't because you're still making the same mistake. Catching a snap is shotgun 101, taking a snap. Watch the ball in. Watch the ball.
Well, there's definitely mistakes that can be corrected.
And I think they're going to do that. And if that one person is still making the quarterback still, it's time to get rid of him.
Well, you can't not catch the ball from the shotgun.
How short is that leash going to be?
I think it's going to be short this week. I truly do. If he's playing, he's starting something up, I think his first major mistake, they're going to take him out. It's time because, like I say, 8 of the 9 turnovers are him.
Yeah.
One person. And I didn't know this. The last 2 years at Georgia Tech, he led the country in turnovers.
Well, they know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, going into the game, he had 35.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
35
in his career.
12, in his career.
Yep.
Yeah, I read that too.
So, I mean, I think his leash is short this week. If he's starting, he's playing, I think his first turnover, you won't see him again.
Well, if I knew, as the coaches probably knew, that he had 30-some-odd turnovers prior to coming here, if we started a stream of those, I'd have to cut him a little earlier because we have to correct that or else we're going to lose. And we can't make up these games.
Once again, John, I agree with you 100%, but they don't know what they have behind them.
They don't know what they have behind them?
They don't know what they have behind them because they got a redshirt freshman behind them.
You mean we ain't got nobody else we can put in?
Yeah.
I'd put in the ball boy. Before I let it keep going.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
Loss is a loss. We're going to lose.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. You're reaching on that one, Johnny. You're reaching on that one, Johnny.
Whatever it's going to take to get a mind change here, you know.
I think
got to get other people
But I truly believe they're going to give the backup more snaps in practice this week.
How much encouragement did that give the rest of the players who really are doing it, think that they could come in and really do? You don't think the other players, they got people that they think can come in and do better?
Well, I think anybody who plays a sport think they can do it until they actually get in the game. Not everyone are game players.
Well, some of them want to get in the game. They can't wait to get in the game.
They're gamers and they're practice players. When they get in the game, they go, "Oh, you practice better than you play." But I think this week they're gonna give the number 2 guy Heinrich Harburg. They're gonna give him more snaps with the ones to put pressure on Jeff. Hey, you don't get done. He's gonna take just as many reps.
I agree.
And I don't think they have been doing that.
They have been doing that.
So I think they've been just really sold on Jeff Sims the entire preseason.
Me too. That's what I thought. But now they're seeing now. Then they're finna get the backup guy. No, he's finna take half of the snaps as ones because your leash is short.
But they know he had history. He had the type of history.
But change the scenery. I mean, change the scenery.
It's hard. Not scenery. It's hard.
Maybe a different coaching style. Maybe different coaches can bring things out other players that some coaches can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can. Yeah.
And so maybe they felt that Scott Satterfield, what he did with Spencer Rattler at South Carolina, he felt that he can do the same thing with Jeff. Because Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma was garbage. Goes to South Carolina, and look what he did. He's playing pretty well at South Carolina. Change the scene, different coaches, motivator. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what they thought they can do with Jeff Sims. Now they're probably saying, hey, maybe this is not the guy we want, so now we need to start working on the other guy. We still have trust and believe in him, but his string is short now.
It's very short.
It's short.
I just hope it's not. Most of the time, you never lost a game. Time just ran out.
Yeah.
I just hope time don't run out.
Well, this week, if he make I'll tell you, his first major, this is just me. I know if he makes that first mistake, you're going to see the other, number 10. Was it number 10?
Yep.
Number 10 coming in the game.
Heinrich Harburg.
Yep.
6'5", 215. He's just a sophomore.
Kid, right?
Yep, just out of Kearney.
Kearney Catholic? Mm-hmm. Yep. He can throw that ball, though.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a touchdown. So there's some confidence there, too. I mean, to do that against a Colorado team when your team's completely deflated, right, at that point, and to go in there and score a touchdown. But right there showed me
a team that didn't quit.
Right.
Outside of when Mickey was there, I hadn't seen a team before that when they got down like that continued to compete. Mm-hmm. So there's something there. They just got to stop beating themselves.
Yeah.
And that's all mental stuff. And that's, to me, mental is individual.
And Rule said it. He said that he's seen the flashes. He knows this is a good team. They're just, again, beating themselves. Right. It's the turnovers. He's very aware of all these things. But the fact that Rule is still confident in that team and willing to say that to the media, like very, very transparently, I think says a lot in his belief that there's still something there that maybe we see throughout the season, and maybe it is year 2. But I think there's a rhythm to all of what he's doing. There's a rhyme, there's a reason. Maybe we don't see it now, but in year 5, let's say this Nebraska team's winning Big Ten championships, you're going to look back on these years and say, oh, he was a genius, right?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, and that's what the fans want to think, but you just don't know right now.
And Johnny and I, we've been through this. We want to see success now.
Right.
But I'm also understanding that sometimes you got to take steps back to move forward.
I think the Scott Frost era hurt that trust a lot with waiting and seeing, because we gave the patience. Husker fans were more than gracious with him, and obviously so was Trev in that contract and making sure they gave him every shot they possibly could have. So I don't fault Husker fans for feeling that distrust.
Thank you for saying that.
I was trying not to bring that up.
You heard us say, thank you for saying that.
I was trying not to bring that up.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, a lot of trust is broken right there.
Yeah, and that's where it all stems from.
Yeah.
And so I just think now you have a guy who has a proven track record of taking programs when they're at the bottom and being successful. Because I'm a firm believer, if he can do what he did at Baylor, and I coached at Baylor, and the turmoil that they were going through at Baylor, and build him to a 12-2, and he sure as hell can do that here with the support,
resources,
with
everything.
The resources, support, and the people behind him.
Well, we give you everything you need to win.
But
we've always given them everything they need to win, and we still can't pull it off.
Because you didn't necessarily have the right guy leading the program. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Hey, we'll leave it there. But before we wrap up the show, can the Huskers win 6 games still left in the season? We were talking about this pre-show. We'll go through the schedule one by one. Both of you guys give your takes. Northern Illinois at home.
Yes.
Yes.
Louisiana Tech at home.
Yes.
Yes.
Michigan at home.
No.
No.
At Illinois.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think they can.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know.
Northwestern at home.
Yes.
Toss up.
Toss up. Okay. Purdue at home.
Yes.
Yes.
Go to Michigan State. Interesting one.
Toss up.
Okay.
Toss up.
I would agree. Maryland at home.
Yes.
Yes.
At Wisconsin.
No.
No. I would say no, but it depends on which team shows up.
Well, I almost never say no. It's possible, but it's going to be.
I'm going to say no because we haven't won there in a while.
If we can start this building process,
Right.
like you said, after you win that first one, get some momentum going, and don't have the losses in between, and we can do anything.
Right.
But if we don't have no momentum going, we're not going to start there.
But I'm going to say no because it's in Wisconsin, and we hadn't had much success in Wisconsin.
Yeah, tough place to play for sure, Camp
Yes.
Randall. And then Iowa at home to end the year.
Yes.
That's a toss-up.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, it's going to be
I think
tough.
it would be special for the Huskers to gain bowl eligibility beating Iowa.
That would be great. That
But
would
for
be
me,
a
that's
statement.
7. For me, that's 7.
Right, that's your 7, but I mean, Johnny, probably for you, that probably would be your 6.
That's 5.
5 or
That's
6.
Johnny's 5, 5.5.
Yeah.
Round
Those
up 6.
toss-ups are, if we're rounding up, that's about a 6, 5.5.
Well, let's get that first one.
They're saying get the first one.
It depends on when we can get the first. Now, these two, I'm not counting those. Those two are gimmies.
They still wins, though.
I know, but right after that, it's like when we have what is going to be make a statement. Who's the third game?
Michigan.
Michigan.
At home.
And we said, Bill said no.
But we need to win that one, though. I say no, but we got to win the big ones. We got to win some that we're not supposed to win.
And you're right. And so I think, man, that's why I say Wisconsin maybe because Wisconsin's not a barn like they used to be.
That's a way.
Yeah, but still, though, I think
If we can get Michigan, we can get Wisconsin.
But I don't think we can get Michigan though, because it's gonna be Harbaugh's first game back.
Yeah. It's
The
going to be tough.
team gonna be motivated. And Harbaugh got it rolling. They got it rolling.
I know they got it rolling.
They got it rolling.
But that's what we need.
But we can pull it off. We
can pull it off. We can beat anybody if we think we can.
Yeah, they say you still got to play the game though, right?
Yeah.
But we're just talking about on paper. We're just looking at what we know now without the game we're playing. I don't think we can beat Michigan.
Well, not on paper. That's when you got to get them pumped
And
up.
that's what we're going on off what schedule, which is on paper.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the matchups definitely will be interesting as the season goes on because there's a lot of toss-ups in there.
Yeah.
Hey, you also can't pencil in Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech as wins because you never know.
No, I can't.
You still don't know.
I'm penciling those in.
Okay, you're penciling
like
those in.
to.
I'm penciling them in.
All
I'd like
right.
to see if something
Stamp
happens.
it, seal it.
I'm penciling in. I'm penciling those in because I've seen both those teams. I've seen both those teams, and those teams aren't very good.
I agree. Those teams are teams we should win. We should beat.
No, we're going to beat them.
I'm going to the ones that we have to win a game or two that we're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
And I don't see Michigan, but I think Michigan State and Wisconsin, one of those two games we can win. We can sneak up and win. And I didn't think Michigan State to start the season, but now what they have going through turmoil with their head coach, I think their season's going to start going in a different direction.
Well, they can go either direction.
Yes.
That you have to take that in consideration. That could be a downfall.
Yep.
That could be our sixth game.
So I'm just saying that I think this schedule there's 6 wins. And I said at the start of the season, I saw 6 wins.
Johnny, you're almost there. 5.5, 6.
Johnny's there. He just don't want to say.
He's just nervous to give him 6.
Yeah.
I tell you, we have to win. We have to win one of those big. We have to win a game we're not supposed to win.
Well, we're supposed to win them all.
We haven't got any wins yet. We got to win some we're not supposed to win.
Well, we're going
to. I'm thinking we can beat them. We'll win them all. But
that's what I'm saying. We can. We're going to play. You still got to play the game.
When I came down and watched the team at practice, I thought we had incredible athletes. Mm-hmm. They looked incredibly good to me. It's just something is off. They're just not synced up. They don't have that, that team thing. Because maybe it's the portal or something where people are coming and going. You don't get to blend with people that long where you get that camaraderie going on where you do whatever for your teammate where I'm from.
Right.
I mean, well, you slide bass on a razor blade rather than disappoint your coach. Really,
you put alcohol
anything.
On it? Huh? You gonna put alcohol on that razor blade?
That's right. And still slide right on in. Whatever's necessary to win. Winning isn't everything, but in Nebraska, we're ready to right up there with oxygen.
That's right.
Yep.
It's pretty damn important.
All right, guys. Well. Home game finally coming up.
Home game.
Northern Illinois, so Matt Rule's debut at Memorial Stadium.
I think it's going to be a special one. I think he gets win one. I think he gets win one.
Right. I'm for that.
And excited just for the environment, too, and just seeing all the excitement. There still is.
Yeah, there's still excitement. It's tough to go on the road and play your first 2 games. I don't care who you are. It's tough to go on the road and play your first 2 games. And Nebraska did that, and now to be able to be back home in their own confines to where they don't have to hop on a plane and travel and eat in hotels and blah, blah. I think this is going to be win number one.
Well, these two teams we have to win these two games.
Yeah.
You can't have whatever the excuse could be that we would lose
There
these.
shouldn't be no excuse to lose this game.
None. These are gimmies. Especially since we done lost two, we ready to kill.
Mm-hmm.
We got to knock these off and get whatever tweaking we need done and things that we need to use them for our practice to get to where we need to be.
Right.
So when we come out of this, that we're golden.
Yeah. You wish these two games were the first two.
Yes, right.
Yes.
That's the way it's supposed to be set up.
Flip-flop them,
Yep.
And for a new coach to come in and to have the type of games that he had initially is tough.
Yes.
It's tough. It's doable. And they really should have did it. Like I said, we have some incredible athletes down there. I see some of these guys, they look like, oh my God.
Yep.
They're specimens, really.
Talent's definitely there. Just have to bring it all together.
Bring it all together.
Absolutely. Well, guys, Thursday, 6 p.m., we'll be at Hurrdat Sports Bar live. Anyone can come out to the show, ask questions to Johnny and Tommie, hang out, talk Husker football. We'll preview that game against Northern Illinois. It's going to be a fun one, guys.
We want to see how you feel about it.
That's right. That's right.
We want you guys yelling in the crowd.
Nebraska, come on down. This is it. This could be live. There won't be any instant replays. This is live.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining today. We'll see you on Thursday, 6 p.m., Hurrdat Sports Bar.